Wow, there's just like an incredible amount of information to give all of you, and it's hard for us to give all the information in such short spurts, so we will be happy to stay as long as we like afterward and take as many questions as you all would like to give us. It'll be fine. I just want to make a quick mention that we're going to make a list at the end. If anyone would like a DVD of today's event, we're at the thanks to Leon Bazbaz, he's making a DVD of the day for us, and we will be, if you give us your name and address, we'll be happy to send you a DVD. Okay. There are a few other things I just wanted to mention, a little news flash. We are going to have a whole bunch of different workshops. I know I already spoke about the pomegranate Show Me How to Shop Day. We will have a workshop for career services. The information is in your packet. By the way, the pomegranate workshop, Pomegranate Day, is on March 3rd. I had said it was the date to be announced, but circle your calendars. March 3rd at 12 o'clock. Meet us there. The next one, career services. This is for those of you who are not sure exactly what you want to do with your time, if you're ready to do something, and we will take a look at your resumes or help you write one, and that's a great way to get started. And of course, the third workshop, Galia Gashon, Down to Earth Finance. It's your money, so take it personally. And she's going to give you some real black and white, straightforward information on how to plan for the future, how to plan for retirement, home finance, getting out of debt, et cetera, et cetera. So we at Ladies Angel Network take all these issues very, very seriously. As I congratulate all of you for being here, obviously you do too. And we thank you for that. Couples and families are not only feeling the economical squeeze, but many families are, because of the credit crisis, are feeling an emotional squeeze as well. And it's very difficult to navigate in times. Many of us have been married many years already and have never had this kind of issue before. And all of a sudden, everything's running smoothly, and then all of a sudden, uh-oh, we all gotta take notice of what we've got and what we don't have anymore, and together work as a team with our husbands and our families and figure out how we're going to get through this and come out the other side happy. And that leads me into introducing our next speaker, Kim Allouche. Kim Allouche is a psychotherapist, and with more than 20 years experience, Kim Allouche specializes in working with individuals and couples. Her passion for the field of psychotherapy has driven her to study a diversity of psychotherapeutic models, including psychoanalytic, family, solution-based, and transpersonal psychology. Sounds like some very big words. I can't wait to hear what they're all about. Prior to opening her practice in Brooklyn and Soho, Kim worked with individuals and groups in Paris and in Paris. Kim is also the grief counselor for the Ricky Haddad Memorial Foundation. She's married with 4 children, and we thank you for coming. Thank you.
Okay. Hi. I want to thank the Ladies Angel Network for the opportunity to be here to talk to you today. I was asked to talk about how the present-day economy is affecting families in our community. And like Rachel said, families are being impacted in different ways. Some hit much harder than others. Some have just lost jobs, some families have smaller incomes, some are wondering how they're going to keep their business afloat. But it's safe to say that most of the families are more pressured now due to this economic uncertainty. When stress levels in a family increase, the individual family members become less elastic, less able to maintain the same kind of reactions they would have if they were completely calm. For example, most of us can remember a time that we may have spoken to a child in an impatient way because we were in a bad mood about something totally unrelated, like a fight with a spouse. Like economics, psychology has its own trickle-down theory. The name for this in family therapy is called systems theory, when one change in a family impacts all of its members. Underneath that, each family has its individual set of beliefs that governs everything that happens in that family. For example, if, how, and when do people communicate with each other? What is allowed? What is taboo? Is communication open and direct, or indirect and secretive? Who has the power, both about money and about everything else? What does the person who has the least power do to get their needs met? How are the male-female roles divided? Are they divided traditionally, with the man bringing home the money, or more progressively where the financial responsibility is shared? If the belief in a family is that the financial responsibility falls solely on the husband, what happens to the husband's sense of self when he can no longer do that? There are no right or wrong answers here, but in order to understand what's happening and what we can do in our own families, we need to explore our beliefs which stem from our own first families, our families of origin. What did your parents tell you about your role as a wife and mother? Here again, we were given different messages depending upon our different parents. But sometimes we were given conflicting messages, like don't worry your pretty little head about money, your husband will take care of you, and we're also told be supportive of your husband. To complicate matters even more, your husband also came from a family where he was told things. For example, he might have been told to make as much money as he could, and that this would happen if he just worked hard enough. So what families seem to be facing now in this crisis is that the beliefs that they have been following for so long are no longer working. So is there a way to turn this crisis into opportunity? And I think there definitely is a way to turn this time of stress into an opportunity for growth. The first thing to do is to notice your beliefs both about money and about your role in your family. Notice the way in which you teach these values to your children. Are you modeling to your children what you want them to learn? And don't judge yourself. Just the fact of observing will allow some of those beliefs to shift, or maybe just to loosen their grip. Pay careful attention to your values. If you've always relied on money to make life better, learn how to be proactive in making life great despite the crisis. In psychology, this is called reframe, where a person shifts their attitude even though the situation has remained the same. Seeing something differently makes it different. For example, a friend of mine who knows how to turn difficulty into opportunity told me that at first it was a big change for her to have to fire her housekeeper. She was ashamed to admit this to her friends. Her self-esteem came from how others perceived her. She has a house full of teenage boys. Like many women, this friend, who I'll call Sarah, was what I call an overfunctioner around the house. Between her housekeeper and herself, her home was immaculate and dinners were served promptly every night. Everything was flawless. And her husband and the boys took for granted the amount of work that was put in, and they would complain if there wasn't enough salt in the food or whatever. So at first, Sarah was frightened by the amount of work she had to do, and even from the change of her status among her friends. But after a few days of really killing herself, working extra hard, she was miserable and decided to do something different. If you want to change a system, you have to do something different. First, she examined her beliefs. She thought, I've taught my boys that they will never have to pitch in around the house, and both my parents thought that, and they still think that. I'm not sure I still believe that, so she explained to her husband who worked late that she would like his support in talking to their boys. And he saw her distress, and he agreed. He did this even though he was tired and stressed. So responding with kindness and generosity during these times creates more of the same. So Sarah and her husband talked to the boys about having to pitch in. And now, instead of each one being on their separate screen, as we see so often among teenagers, the TV, the iPod, or the cell phone, or the computer, one peels the potatoes, the other one sets the table. They talk about their day and they laugh, and it's become a special time for connection in that family. The new belief in that household is, we will manage together. Prior to this, the housekeeper was doing the peeling, the mother was on the phone, and the boys were on the Xbox. So we might be able to speculate that when these boys grow up, they'll be sensitive to their wives, maybe, in a different way, and more prepared to deal with the fact that there are no guarantees in life. So now, with Sarah feeling less burdened around the house, she, in turn, has more energy and time to be attentive to her husband's situation, which is that he's making far less money. She expresses curiosity. I recently heard that curiosity is one way of expressing love. This, too, was something different. In the past, both Sarah and her husband believed that it was the man's job to hold the financial burden entirely, including not talking about money, except to complain about and control Sarah's